Your mother is your original wingman. Never fire friendly shots at the one who gave you her lifeblood. Before the world had an opinion of you, before the labels and judgments and expectations were placed on your shoulders, she was there. She carried you without a roadmap, without guarantees, without certainty. Her heartbeat was your first rhythm, Her breath was your first soundtrack. While you floated in silence, she was fighting battles, physical, emotional, and spiritual, just to bring you into this world. That's not just love. That's a form of sacrifice few can even comprehend, let alone replicate. When you were weak, she stood strong. When you were scared, she wrapped you in safety. She took the brunt of life's impact so you could breathe easier. She held back tears so you wouldn't have to. She stayed awake while you slept, listened when no one else did, and prayed for you even when you weren't listening. Every scraped knee, every broken heart, every lost dream, you had a wingman ready to go to war for you, even when you didn't know what war looked like. And yet somehow we live in a world where we casually hurt the very person who would take a bullet before she'd take a break. People hurt their mothers in silence and in public, with distance and with words, through neglect and through pride. They let ego speak louder than empathy. They let temporary relationships, hollow friends, or even career ambition push aside the woman who built their foundation. They forget that the reason they're even able to chase success is because someone else delayed hers to make room for theirs, They forget that the strength they show off to the world was forged in the arms of a woman who picked them up after every failure. We fire emotional shots at the ones we assume will never stop loving us, And that's the lie we buy into, the idea that unconditional love gives us permission to be careless. But love isn't immunity. It's not a license to wound. A mother's heart is strong, but it's not indestructible. Every cold shoulder, every ignored call, every selfish decision that leaves her out, those are hits. Those are betrayals disguised as independence. People often believe they've outgrown their mothers, as if maturity means distance, as if success means separation. But real maturity is recognizing the sacred bond, not severing it for convenience. Your mother was your first line of defense, your first safety net. She didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of protection. She didn't need to be flawless to deserve your loyalty, Even if she made mistakes, and many do, she still chose to keep fighting for you. She still chose to sacrifice sleep, security, and sanity to make sure you were okay. That kind of allegiance deserves more than shallow gratitude. It deserves honor. It deserves defense, even from your own anger, your own ego, your own arrogance. There will always be people who come and go in your life. Fair weather friends, fake support systems, even certain relatives who know how to smile in your face while doubting your dreams. But your mother, she's the one who stayed when staying cost her everything. She's the one who took hits without throwing them back. She's the one who let you shine even when she was walking through darkness. So when life tempts you to speak in frustration, to lash out, to prioritize others over her, to make her feel like she's been replaced, pause, reflect. Remember who filled your lungs with hope when the world gave you none. Remember who helped you fly when you didn't know how to walk. Every warrior needs a wingman, and your first one was her, the one who flew beside you before you even knew your own altitude. Never lose sight of that. Never fire on your own. Never mistake her love as something owed instead of something earned. Because once she's gone, the skies never feel the same. Loyalty is earned by action, not shared DNA. Watch the patterns and not the titles. Too many people get caught in the trap of blind allegiance just because someone shares their bloodline. They confuse proximity for protection, tradition for trust, and titles for truth. But loyalty is not automatically downloaded through genetics. It's not a birthright. It's not something owed simply because someone has the same last name or sat at the same dinner table growing up. Loyalty is a living, breathing thing that must be proven through consistent, intentional action. Anything less is just illusion, comfort wrapped in danger. When you grow up in a family or circle that uses DNA as a guilt trip, you begin to feel trapped. You're told things like, but they're your brother, or that's still your aunt, or family is family. But what do you call someone who betrays your trust repeatedly? What do you call someone who disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your choices, or stabs your character behind your back, but still wants the privileges of closeness just because of a bloodline? That's not loyalty. That's entitlement. And if you let that entitlement rule your relationships, you'll find yourself emotionally bankrupt in a crowd of people who only show up to take, never to give. True loyalty is shown in how someone stands with you when you're weak, not just when you're winning. It's reflected in who defends you in rooms where you're not present. It's about who listens without judgment, who respects your no, who doesn't weaponize your past against you. And if someone isn't showing up with those behaviors, then their title means nothing. Family isn't defined by genetics. It's defined by the way people treat you when you're vulnerable, when you have nothing to offer, when you're finally strong enough to say, that wasn't okay. Some of the most toxic people in your life will carry the most sacred labels: mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, cousin. But that's the camouflage. That's how the damage hides. You excuse patterns because the titles are sacred. You excuse the manipulation because they raised me. You ignore the disrespect because they've always been like this. And before you know it, you're living a life in emotional chains. Telling yourself that it's love when it's really fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of abandonment, fear of being called ungrateful or disloyal. But ask yourself this: what's more disloyal? You. Creating distance from someone who shares your blood but drains your soul, or betraying your peace just to play a role in a broken system. What's more damaging? Choosing yourself and setting a boundary with you, or tolerating constant emotional erosion just to keep appearances intact. You're not a traitor for calling out mistreatment. You're not a villain for deciding that patterns matter more than names. You're not disloyal for wanting consistency, kindness, and safety from those closest to you. Watch the patterns. That's where the truth lies. The person who constantly interrupts your healing with their judgment, that's a pattern. The friend who only calls when they need something, that's a pattern. The family member who belittles you in public and pretends to love you in private, that's a pattern. And if the patterns are built on selfishness, control, guilt, or deception, then no title in the world can make that real loyalty. Words are easy. DNA is automatic. Actions are where the real truth shows up. Sometimes the people who support you the most will have no blood relation to you at all. And sometimes the people who share your genetics will be the first to abandon you when your truth makes them uncomfortable. Loyalty has nothing to do with how someone is labeled, and everything to do with how someone shows up when it's hard, when it's quiet, when it's inconvenient. You can't build a solid life on hollow connections. You can't fly free with anchors tied to your wings. The faster you stop chasing loyalty from the wrong people, the faster you'll find it in the right ones. Your mother's love is your runway. Don't let toxic people bomb it out of guilt. There is something sacred about the foundation a mother lays beneath her child. Before the world teaches you who to be, how to think, or what to believe, your mother teaches you how to exist. Her love is not just emotional, it's architectural. It's the first stable ground you ever stood on, the first shelter from life's storms, the first voice that ever told you you were enough before you even knew what that meant. That kind of love doesn't just nurture, it launches. It gives you wings not just to fly, but to return safely when life gets rough. A mother's love is the runway from which you lift off in the world. And like any well-built runway, it's not glamorous. It's solid, steady, built with layers of unseen effort. Every moment she put her needs second. Every time she held her breath so you could exhale. Every time she fought battles in silence just so you could sleep in peace. All of that became the ground beneath your dreams. So when you allow toxic people to manipulate you into turning your back on her, you are not just burning bridges, you're dismantling the very surface that gave you your first takeoff. Toxic people come in many forms. They can be relatives, lifelong friends, partners, or people who wear smiles with knives hidden behind their backs. But one thing they all have in common is this: they use guilt as a weapon. They don't earn influence through love or loyalty. They steal it through pressure, obligation, and manipulation. And the first place they aim to strike is your foundation, your runway, your mother. Because if they can make you question the one person who gave you unconditional support, they can make you question everything. They'll say things like, she's too emotional, or you're too close to her, or you need to grow up and think for yourself, as if independence means cutting the very root of your strength. They'll label your loyalty as weakness. They'll paint your connection as control. And slowly you start creating distance. Not because your mother changed you, but because someone else made her love feel like a liability. That's the tactic, not an explosion, but slow erosion. And by the time you realize what's happening, the runway's covered in debris, and the people who dropped the bombs are gone. Guilt is the enemy of clarity. When you make decisions through guilt, you don't make them from truth. You make them from fear, you. And no one who truly loves you will ever ask you to betray someone who has never betrayed you. No one who genuinely wants your growth will ever demand it at the cost of your roots, you. When someone tries to make you choose between them and your mother, that's not love. That's a control test disguised as concern. And every time you choose silence over defense, distance over closeness, you, avoidance over presence, you're letting them win. You may feel torn. You may feel like you owe explanations. But ask yourself, who has been there in your darkest moments? You. Who stood by you when you were nothing but broken pieces and unfulfilled potential? Who celebrated your smallest wins like they were victories of a lifetime? That's your runway. That's your mother. Not perfect, not always easy, but real. And real should never be sacrificed for the fake applause of temporary people. Your ability to rise in life is tied to what grounds you. If that foundation is cracked by guilt, shame, or manipulation, you'll take off in the wrong direction. Or worse, never lift at all. The people who truly matter will never ask you to destroy the ground beneath your own feet. They'll build with you, not bomb the runway. They'll honor what came before them, not demand its removal. Your mother's love gave you a place to start from. Guard that. Respect it. Protect it from those who never helped build it. It's not about hate. It's about recognizing who's draining your fuel while smiling in your cockpit. Life is not a solo mission. You're flying through storms, turbulence, and unknown skies every single day. And who you allow in your cockpit, the most sacred, most vulnerable, most decision-driven space in your life, matters more than you realize. It's easy to think everyone who smiles claps you or says, "I'm proud of you," is there to help you rise. But not everyone in your cockpit is a co-pilot. Some are disguised saboteurs, draining your emotional fuel while pretending to help navigate you. We're taught from a young age to keep the peace, to forgive and forget, to give people chance after chance because they've been in our lives for years. But longevity doesn't equal loyalty. Just because someone's been sitting in your cockpit for a long time doesn't mean they deserve to stay there. Familiarity isn't permission. Proximity doesn't mean alignment, and smiles don't always mean support. Some people smile because it keeps you off guard. Some people stay close because it gives them easier access to the controls when your focus slips. They drain you slowly. They make small comments that chip away at your confidence. They second guess your decisions with a subtle tone that sounds like care but smells like control. They pretend their jealousy is concern. They distract you with drama so you're too tired to chase your own goals. And when your tank runs low, they're right there to tell you how you've changed and how you're not the same and how maybe you should take a break. Never acknowledging that they've been riding shotgun, adding weight, not lift. It's not about hate. In fact, most of the time, there's no hatred involved at all. You may love them. You may have shared beautiful memories. They might be family, They might have helped you at one point. But if their presence now feels like friction instead of force, if you leave their space feeling smaller, not stronger, if their words cost you more than they contribute, then you have to stop judging them by what they once were and start assessing them by what they currently do. We often convince ourselves that setting boundaries is harsh, that pulling someone out of our cockpit is a betrayal. But what's the bigger betrayal, disrupting someone else's comfort or abandoning your own mission? The aircraft of your life can only carry so much weight. You only have so much fuel, your energy, time, focus, and passion. If you spend it constantly correcting course from someone else's turbulence, eventually you'll crash trying to keep someone else comfortable. People who truly support you don't drain you to elevate themselves. They don't confuse presence with entitlement. They understand that being close to you is a privilege, not a birthright. They add value without taking control. They challenge you without condescension. They celebrate your altitude without trying to bring you down to their level. And most of all, they never pretend to lift you while quietly unplugging the systems that keep you in the air. Pay attention to your cockpit. Pay attention to how you feel when certain names show up on your phone. When certain voices speak into your plans. Are they refueling you or emptying your tank? Are they guiding you or guilt-tripping you? Are they truly invested in your flight? Or are they waiting for a stall so they can say, "I told you so"? It's not mean to ask those questions. It's not hateful to make those evaluations. It's wise. It's necessary. It's survival. Flying high doesn't just require strong engines, it demands clean cockpits. You can't afford to let emotional weight, silent resentment, or passive sabotage rob you of momentum. And the most dangerous people aren't always loud about their opposition. Sometimes they sit next to you, smiling, giving advice, acting like crew, while secretly loosening the bolts on your wings.